So I am going to begin the recording now so that all of you on the line will, within the next few days, receive a link to the recording in case you'd like to go back through it more slowly, or in case you feel there's more you'd like to get out of it by listening to it a second time. So, as I said, I am Rita Wolfson, the founder of Financial Social Work, and today I will begin with a brief overview of financial social work for our attendees new to this discipline. Then I'll be sharing with you what you responded to in our invitation to complete the sentences: what money is, what it isn't, what it can and can't do. Then we'll be looking at what makes money so stressful, and finally we'll address the need to reduce stress, and I'll have 5 actionable steps for reducing financial stress. And we will save time at the end of the session for your questions and answers. And I will stay with you to get them all answered if we haven't answered them within the hour. So financial social work is about many of the traditional social work principles of societal change, human rights, social justice, and it is about treating people equally and treating them fairly. And certainly it is about personal, professional, financial, and social change. Taking greater responsibility for your financial future requires more than just learning new financial skills. It is an ongoing process, and to meet that, we have a 3-part approach, which I will share with you in just 1 minute. And the reason I share this concept with you, that this is a process, is because financial stability really is a very personal, individual, and emotional choice. It's one we make daily, weekly, and monthly, sometimes even minute to minute or hour to hour. And it's all about sustainable long-term financial behavioral change, because unless behavior changes, nothing changes. So financial social work is a behavioral model. And we talk about the choice to take greater responsibility for creating a better personal and financial future. And so our psychosocial behavioral model incorporates ongoing education, motivation, and support. Certainly our monthly free webinar is part of that. And I will explain later on all of the other free services we offer to our ever-growing community of financial social workers. So what does financial social work look like to me? For me, it's about change. It's about hope as much as help. It's about believing in your dreams, having goals, believing in yourself. It's very success-oriented. It's definitely has a personal awareness component that's as rich and important as the financial information and knowledge component. It's certainly about setting personal and financial boundaries and goals, and one of my favorite graphics. For me, these pieces all come together to represent being at peace with your money. So what's it all about? It's about the fact that our relationship with our money drives our financial behavior, and our financial behavior is absolutely what determines our financial circumstances. So while not many people wake up in the morning thinking about their relationship with their money, I'm doing everything I can to help everyone rethink their relationship with their money and improve their relationship with their money. And certainly that includes everyone on this webinar. So financial social work strives to change the conversation about money. Again, it's about more than just learning new information and knowledge, because what people need to create sustainable long-term financial behavioral change is ongoing motivation and support along with new information and skills. And so we try to provide a different way of thinking about money and a better way of working with clients around money problems and issues. So to get going, in the upper right-hand corner, you have a box that you can indicate whether you're using the telephone or a microphone and speakers. There is a question box, and I will be watching that box so that if you have questions or comments, and I see we have some already. We will not, someone has asked if we'll be sharing the slides. They are proprietary. We don't share them, but everyone on the call and everyone who registered will receive the link to the recording. And the recording of all of our webinars from this year can be watched on our Financial Social Work Facebook page. And finally, we have one other. You can hide the toolbar in the upper right-hand corner by clicking on those two arrows, and then if you'd like to open it to ask a question or for any other reason, you click on the arrows again and it will open. So hopefully everyone is all set, and I will point out that I really like to make the session interactive, so I may be asking you to raise your hands during the course of the session, and I do have several interactive polls that I'm hoping everyone will participate in. So I thought I would share some of the comments that you made in responding to the request we sent out with the invitation to complete these sentences. And after this webinar, we will be drawing 5 winners. We indicated that anyone who completed the sentences would be eligible for our drawing for a Financial Social Work tote bag. So, from Dolly Clayton, she said that money is great when used wisely to meet your basic needs, and money isn't the answer to happiness. And you'll start to see a theme in the responses, and it's clear that most everyone who answered these questions or completed these sentences has a sense of what money is and what it isn't. And you will see a theme that just about everyone totally indicated that money can't solve your problems or bring you happiness. Only one of you asked not to be identified, and we respected that. We indicated that anyone who completed the sentences, could ask not to be identified, but everyone else said they were fine with it. There are definitely some very interesting answers. I think money isn't the root of all evil. It is a tool that is used in order to secure goods and services. Money can make life better and more fun. You can afford to travel, have hobbies, and send your children to the best schools. That's from Susan Kelly. Thank you. And Sandy Shore gave us some interesting answers too. Money can't replace the important things that are lacking in your life, like friendship, love, self-confidence, contentment. Christina Hunter and Jennifer Purnell. I like that money is currency. It has to flow. And money isn't meant to be still. It should always be put to work and be used. Money can be used to give, save, and spend. But you'll see that no one believes that money can buy happiness. And Jean Money can help provide security and freedom to some extent, and pleasure. Mary, money isn't the solution to life's problems. It is a part of our life that needs to be managed well. And Susan Maynard, it's a reflection of what we value in life, a barometer of sorts, helping us discern where our hearts really are and how we need to grow on a personal level. I also like help to shine a light on our shadow and show us things about ourselves that we might not otherwise be willing to face. Now, interestingly enough, when I choose a topic for the webinar each month, when we don't have a guest speaker, which we've had the past few months, sometimes I'm very clear on what I want to share, and other times it kind of takes on a life of its own. And for me, this webinar went off in its own direction as a result of some of the answers that you submitted with those sentences. But as I thought about what money is and what it isn't, and all of my experiences in, all of my work with clients, I realized that for a large majority of men and women, money is very, very stressful. Now, you notice that not many people, or really no one, finishing those questions that we shared with you today, indicated that money is stressful. But what I would like to do here is ask you if you can look on the dashboard up in the right-hand corner and indicate to me by clicking on the little hand there how many of you would agree that for the majority of men and women, money is stressful. Can you raise your hand for me? Okay. Okay. Well, it does look like the majority of people on the webinar would agree, but not everyone. Not everyone. So that's interesting. Of course, it does not have to be unanimous, but here's another way that we're going to look at this. We're going to do our first interactive poll. I think I have 4 for today. And I will launch this first one, which asks, what percentage of the population do you think claim to be experiencing high financial stress in April of this year? And so pick the one that you think. Was it over 10%, over 15, 20, 30, or 50? Very interesting. About 70% of you have voted. Remember, this is anonymous. And I think all of you will be as surprised. We're at 74%. We'll give you another few seconds to vote. I think you're all going to be as surprised as I was by this statistic. All right, so we're at 78%. If you want to vote, I'm going to count it down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So 78% of you voted. I will close that and I will share it with you. So the majority of you thought that over 63% of people, 63% of you felt that over 50% of the people would have indicated being very stressed. However, and as I said, I think you'll be as surprised as I was when I show you this graphic, level of personal financial stress in April 2012. I know it's a little blurry, but all of you can see that only 18% of the people in the survey indicated having high stress. 43% had moderate stress. How about that 8% with no financial stress? Well, thanks everybody, and we'll keep going. So, what makes money so stressful? I gave a lot of thought to this and thought I would share some of my thinking on this topic. So what makes it so stressful? I think it's really stressful when we view our financial circumstances as a reflection of who we are. And if you think about that, we're looking at it as, and in this society, and certainly in a society that does seem to measure success in dollars and cents, it's easy enough to do that, but it's harmful and contributes to the stress level. And it also is part of confusing your self-worth with your net worth, which is a really, stressful way of looking at your life. And it's certainly the wrong way to look at it. And lots of people believe that everyone else knows more about managing money than they do. And this, of course, will make it stressful. And of course, a major problem for lots of folks is that, they have more month than money. And we will be, as I said in the introduction, looking at a 5-step process for working to reduce stress in just a few minutes. So I'm not just giving you the stressors with no solutions. Another big stressor is not following through on commitment, and particularly the commitment to pay down debt and the commitment to start saving. Another stressor is spending all of your time and energy avoiding thinking or dealing with money. It takes a lot of energy to ignore the elephant in the room, which obviously can never truly be ignored. So, what's your biggest financial concern? Let's do our second poll here. So, I believe that you can choose more. I'm not sure how I set it up. If you could choose more than one, I think you can just choose one. Okay, we have a wide range of responses. About 60% of you have voted, and we'll give you another few seconds. See if we can get past the 75% mark that we had for the first poll. We're right at 75. Oh, we beat it. We're at 76%, 78%. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and I will close that poll, and I will share the poll with everyone. So the majority of people are clearly concerned about not having enough savings, and that's part of this 5-step process we'll be looking at in a few minutes. And the rest is fairly equally spread out. These are definitely major financial concerns that everyone tends to have. And so Another piece of that, I use the word fear. It could be worry, it could be concern, but the most prevalent ones that I see are fear of bankruptcy and foreclosure, having your credit card rejected at a cash register, telling a partner or spouse about your credit score, being refused a loan, being asked permission to pull your credit report on a job application, which is happening more and more. So these are some of the concerns that I've heard and seen recently. And just to finish out, some of the major stressors that I came up with was, recognize that you're sacrificing long-term financial well-being for short-term instant gratification. And as the graphic says, instant gratification often has long-term consequences. Feeling out of control of your money and your life. Practicing magical thinking or rationalization when it comes to impractical purchases, meaning that, something is too expensive, but you rationalize it by thinking that, you'll have it for a very long time or forever, or that you're actually saving money because it's on sale, even though it wasn't something you planned on buying and isn't something you need. And speaking of needs, a real stressor is spending money on wants instead of needs. And measuring success or lack thereof by the amount of your debt or the size of your investment portfolio, which really does go back to, confusing your net worth with your self-worth. So what makes money most stressful for you? If you'd like to share your answers, you can do that anonymously. And I can, okay, so we have a bunch of questions in the queue. Someone said not having money is stressful. Unemployment is stressful. This is true. This is very true. That definitely belongs on that list. Talking about money with a spouse, very stressful. These are just some of the answers I'm getting that I'm going to share with you. Unemployment is stressful. Worrying about retirement, absolutely. Being unprepared for retirement. Not being able to control your own financial future. The rough economy, definitely. Working and not being able to meet your needs is very stressful, true. Money is most stressful to me because there aren't firm black and white answers. You can learn a lot, but knowing doesn't mean you'll have the right answer. Well, this is definitely true, but we do have to start somewhere. We do have to become more knowledgeable, more engaged, and more active with our money, because ignoring it is never going to get us to a better place. Working for people and not knowing if they are going to suddenly lay me off, that's actually, very true, and a huge problem in this economy, especially for people, those of us who work with client populations who have or are or also live in fear of being downsized, layoff, fired, whatever it's labeled. It is very, very stressful to not know and to live in fear and uncertainty around that. Being the sole person responsible for the financial decisions and responsibilities. Boy, I guess my list could have actually been several slides long. Unemployment is very stressful, and when you have other personal issues involved, surely. Questioning every purchase. Okay, well, maybe what we're about to do will be helpful to you. Only having one source of income is stressful, even when you're married. Of course, putting so much emphasis on saving that I don't buy what I need. That's very true, and you may, all of you or some of you may have heard it before, because any extreme, what we're really looking for in our lives is balance in all areas of our lives, and certainly balance in the financial component of our lives. And that's saying that 180 degrees from sick is still sick, and so, you know, if we're going 180 degrees from spending too much and having too much debt to spending nothing and constantly feeling guilty about, you know, a 50-cent, I was going to say soda, but no, sodas are 50 cents. So pack of gum, and they're probably not even 50 cents either. Yes, balance, everybody. So important. Medical bills. Well, medical bills are probably right at the top. For those of you who may not know, we were given bankruptcy reform in 2005 with the belief that so many people were busy using their credit cards, buying things that they had no intention of paying for. But the reality is that the top 3 reasons people file bankruptcy, number 1 is medical bills, and 2 and 3 are job loss and divorce. So yes, medical bills, you know, in addition to the stress of illness, are very, very stressful. Not having control because of a spouse, very big problem in relationships. And of course, money is the number 1 cause of divorce. Predatory lenders. Once you're caught in the cycle of predatory lending, it can absolutely be very, very, very difficult to escape it. Things breaking and no emergency fund. And these are all coming from all of you, and I appreciate your sharing with us. Underemployment along with unemployment, not having enough money to send your child to college. And I guess I better not get started talking about college loans and college debt. I want to say that something has to change with regard to student loans. I haven't seen a lot of movement there. Any of you that follow us on Twitter or receive our free newsletter twice a month with the 10 top articles about money for the financial social work community, you've seen us share articles with you about student debt and ways of reducing those expenses. I think we tweeted one today about how how parents, what steps parents are taking to reduce their expenses for their children in college. And I have been reading about a movement to complete a 4-year education in 3 years. I just don't see how the cost of college education can continue to explode the way it has been. In 2010, it surpassed credit card debt and remains larger than credit card debt. Someone said predatory lends contribute to making money stressful. Absolutely. Someone said he or she may need to file for bankruptcy because the credit card company is unwilling to reduce the interest rate on a closed account. Wow, I never heard that before. Can I suggest that you try consumer credit counseling as before filing? Although, to be honest, I do believe in bankruptcy. I do believe it was created to give people a second chance, although, you know, there is an expense factor associated with it. Major changes such as divorce and unemployment happening within months of each other. Certainly. Saving and investing my hard-earned income, then watching dividends vanish is very stressful. Definitely. Okay, well, I will continue to high student loan debt, yes, experiencing more needs than finances, concerned that the life I have now will have to be changed because of a lack of money. Have had to take a job which pays half the salary I had, wanting to provide extras for children, vacation, nice clothes, sporting activities. So clearly everyone at this webinar has financial concerns, and while I don't traditionally do a 3-step, 5-step, or 10-step approach to financial issues, because I do believe in a broader, more behavioral model, but I do know that this need exists, and so I am going to share with you the 5 steps that I came up with for you. But worrying about your financial circumstances, what they say about you. So perhaps after reading all of those, this might be helpful to you if you want to jot these sentences down, because while I'm going to give you some real clear steps to help you to reduce the stress you're experiencing, from the behavioral perspective, we need to look at the thoughts, feelings, and attitudes that drive, you know, the relationship we have with money, which then contributes to our financial behavior, and look at that from the perspective of how is that contributing to what you're doing and to the financial circumstances you're in. And so these 2 sentences: when I think about money, I and my financial circumstances. Okay, so here are 2 more sentences. When I think about spending time with others I care about, money. How would you finish that sentence? And my friends, families, colleagues, any of the people in your lives, when you think about their financial circumstances, what are you thinking about with regard to them and with regard to yourself? So, you know, if you don't know where or how to begin to take back control of your money, you're going to feel really stressed. And that's why I'm doing this session with my 5-step approach. And not knowing how money makes you feel about yourself. And that was that sentence: when I think about money, I. Who are you? And what does that or does it not have to do with money? Having financial problems is stressful because it limits your ability, as we've seen through your comments, to enjoy life, to be able to say no, to have the freedom of choice, and to relocate for a better job or to somewhere where there are lower living costs. And so it is very limiting. And it's stressful to know that you're the one responsible. And one comment, you know, that wasn't shared, but I often hear, is certainly not knowing, you know, what to do about your financial problems, how to take back some control. And that's what we're about to look at. So not understanding what money is. Just think for a minute, probably just a few seconds. But what do you think money is? We saw earlier that we didn't think that, you know, money is the root of all evil. We think that, you know, money can be a good thing, but often, you know, there are those who think that it is a bad thing. But what is money? Why is it elusive? Why does it cause you problems and stress? All money really is a form of exchange. It really isn't good or bad. It isn't the root of all evil. We know it doesn't grow on trees. And as every single person who submitted answers to these sentences earlier on said, it can't buy happiness. It is a form of exchange, really no more, no less. We are the ones who give it all this power. It's really just what we use to get the things we need and want. And if we use it to get the things we need, we're going to be in a better position than when we use it to get the things we want. So money means so many different things to every person, certainly to each of us on this webinar. Do you know what it means to you? So I'm going to give you some words that you might want to think about in relationship to what money represents to you and in your life. And some of these words you see are positive and some of them are negative. And that will absolutely, you know, how you feel about money, what you think about money, that, you know, is an overriding influence to all that, you know, you do with your money. So let's do our third poll, and then we have one more. So the third poll, which of the following do you have the most problems with? Spending some, saving some, investing some, sharing some, all of the above. Okay. Over 50% of you have responded. We're up to 65%. I will give you another few seconds, and then I will close the poll and share with you the responses we received. Okay, I'll count it down if you want to still vote. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We got to 78% again. And here's what you said. About a quarter of you have problems with all of the above. A third of you have trouble saving. And 8% of you are probably, you know, real savers, and spending is difficult for you. That's certainly not something I included, but probably should have, absolutely, in what makes money stressful. And about a quarter of you, just as many as said all of the above, have problems with investing. We did do a basic investing webinar. I think it was in April. If you'd like to listen to or watch that recording, you can do so on our Financial Social Work Facebook page. Okay, so we'll close that and we'll get back to this session. So, you know, we begin to see some of the places more specifically. We're narrowing down where the stress comes from and the area that you may need to work harder on. So a 2011 American Psychological Association report found that of the 8 top sources of stress, 5 were financial. They included money, work, the economy, job stability, and housing costs. When all of you were sharing earlier, no one mentioned anything about housing costs, but that was definitely in the top 5 of this stress report. I have no idea what the other 3 of the 8 topics were. When I read about this, it only listed these 5. And so this is serious, and that demonstrates the health risks of having debt. Headaches and migraines, huge. 44% of people say they had headaches and migraines when they had high debt, as opposed to 4% with low financial problems, not necessarily debt. Depression, over 20% more. Heart attacks, twice as many. Muscle tension and lower back pain, 51 versus 31%. Ulcers and digestive problems. So it's important for all of us, as well as for our clients, to, address the stress, and definitely to stress less when it comes to money. So 5 action steps for reducing financial stress. And in this graphic, you can see how stress impacts the body, the mind, behavior, and emotions. So the first step is to identify the specific area of financial problem causing you the stress. Now, that may sound simplistic, but if you're overwhelmed by some of these, one of these, all of these, you can't tackle all of them at the same time. So you can use these steps on any one of these or on any others. I don't have unemployment there. I don't have underemployment. The methodology works for these particular stressors as well as any others that you're experiencing. And so I'm just leaving this slide up so that any of you that wanted to write down step 1 could. So step 2, identify what the specific financial stressor is in 25 words or less. The goal for this particular step is to help you to get to the root. What is the real problem? Yes, you're overwhelmed and stressed about money, but money stress is very vague, and I wouldn't be surprised if some of you or most of you, and certainly all of our clients are feel the need that list on the previous 2 slides ago, maybe all of those are impacting you. So just money stress is too vague. We have to really look at what exactly are you stressed about, and state it in 25 words or less. So, is the stress you're experiencing due to an overwhelming amount of debt? Well, then you might put, if it's credit card debt, you would identify the stressor as credit card debt. And then you would identify in 25 words or less. It would look something like this. I owe so much on my credit cards that I am unable to pay even the minimum payments on some of them. So we're identifying the specific stressor, and in this case, we're working with credit card debt. Then we're going to state in 25 words or less, because we really just want to get right to the heart of the problem. And this is less than 25 words. I don't remember how many, but I did count them. So I owe so much. We put it as tightly as possible so we know what the problem is. Okay, so here's a different example. Are you worried that your income doesn't cover your costs? Well, that might be a spending problem. If you're spending more than you're earning. So if it's a spending problem, my expenses exceed my income so much that there is no way for me to pay my bills, reduce, it should be my debt, or save any money. And that's 25 words, I believe. So you can start out with more words, but find a way to keep it tight and clear so that you have the direction to move in. And this is step number 2. So, are you scared? Here's your third example. Scared that there might be an emergency you can't afford. So that would be a concern about the lack of an emergency fund. And you might write something like this. If something unexpected, like a car repair, happens, there is no way I can pay for it. So now you know what the specific issue you're trying to take care of is, lack of emergency funds, and you know what the problem is. You can't meet any unanticipated expenses. So we're not going to go through all those examples. We're just going to complete this one. I owe so much on my credit cards that I am unable to pay even the minimum payments on some. So you're going to identify 2 actions you can take to begin to take some control over the problem. I will call my credit card companies and ask if I can reduce my monthly minimum payments. And 2, I will contact a not-for-profit consumer credit counseling agency to find out whether that would be a helpful option. So now you've indicated the first 2 steps you're going to take. We want to keep it clear, keep it concise, and know what we're dealing with. Now, step 4 is to put a time frame on the 2 actions you've identified for beginning to take control of the problem. So I will call all of my credit card companies and ask if I can reduce my monthly minimum payments, and then we put a time frame on it over the next 2 weeks. So you now know that you have made the commitment to take this action over the course of the next 2 weeks. And on the other one, you're going to do that within the next 3 days. So you have developed at this point a plan of action. Remember, I said 5 action steps for reducing financial stress. And step 5, when you've completed the first 2 actions, you identify the next 2 actions needed to take control of the problem. So the next step, which is actually relatively step 3, consumer credit counseling sounded like the best option, so I will schedule an appointment to get started this week. So if today is Wednesday, that leaves you Thursday or Friday. If you thought you couldn't get to it until next week, that's what you would put. And step 2 is to redo your budget once you're on a debt management. The word plan should be there. A DMP is a debt management plan. And you're going to do that within 1 week. So you have a plan of action which can then be used for any of the areas on the original list. So the first step is to identify the type of financial problem causing the most stress for you, to identify what the specific financial stressor is in 25 words or less, identify 2 actions you can take to begin to take some control over it, put in a time frame on the 2 actions you've identified, and when you complete the first 2 actions, you can then identify the next 2 actions. And then you have a specific plan of action for dealing with that particular financial stressor. And you can repeat that for any other financial areas where you need to take back some control. So for example, if it's the issue of savings, you would identify the type of financial problem again, and here it would be saving. And for savings, you can write as much as you like, because what you write and your enthusiasm and excitement for what it is you're saving for should be a great motivator for all of you. And the second step is to, once again, identify 2 actions you can take to begin to make saving a priority. Priority being an important word there. Then you put your time frame on those 2 actions. And when you've completed those 2 actions, you identify the next 2 actions. And again, a very similar, actually the identical process, except in step 2, there's no word limitation. And if you use this step approach, I think you'll be really pleased with the outcome. And of course, stress, contributes to a lot of other problems in our lives. And there are many different ways of dealing with it. Certainly healthy eating, getting a good night's sleep, spending time with family and friends, being healthy, exercising. I certainly, actionable steps are important and can be helpful, but there are a lot of other, stress reduction techniques available that you should know about and practice, and these are some of them. And, sustainable financial behavioral change is a process, and you can see this graphic with some of the steps. And it doesn't happen overnight, but it absolutely can happen over time. And, at the Center for Financial Social Work, we try to support you with so many tools and free services from the webinars and newsletters and Facebook and Twitter. So we hope that, you're all an active part of our community. The good news, I believe, and hope that you believe, is that on a daily basis, you have the opportunity to change how you interact with your money. Every single day, actually every single minute. And so if you, can see that as a positive, you're going in the right direction. And I want you to remember what I talked about early on. It's your relationship with your money. And that means the thoughts, feelings, and attitudes about money that you have. And that's what drives your financial behavior. And it's your financial behavior, how much you spend, how much you save, what you do with your money day in and day out, the choices you make that determine your financial circumstances. But money is fluid, as someone wrote in those sentences early on. And it does and should move, and so that is, positive, and it means that you can, create a better financial future. It's very, very possible. So it all begins here with your relationship with, should be your money, and certainly many factors influence your relationship with your money. And the more you understand those different factors, the more likely you are to, be able to create sustainable financial behavioral change. And again, this is where it's at, those feelings, thoughts, values, and beliefs. And as you move up that those steps there, it's the results become your financial life and your financial circumstances. So our last interactive poll is, who had the strongest influence on your financial beliefs? When you think about that, you begin to, you create the opportunity to evaluate how well those financial beliefs serve you today or don't serve you today. And that's a really important piece of your relationship with your money and your financial behavior, which makes it a large component or a significant component of your financial circumstances. And if you think about who that person or those people were, if you think that that was helpful to you, you may want to thank them. So I'm going to count this down as we're just about at 3 o'clock and we're just about finished. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and I'll close it and I'll share it with you. And so we have a lot of people whose family were their role models, and I hope that was a good thing. Oops, I didn't mean to disappear it. Some of you, your friends, some of you, a teacher or professor, and I'd certainly like to know who the others were, 15%. So something to think about. And as we finish up, I wanted to tell you that next month's webinar will be on August 15th, and it will be the 4 R's of financial behavioral change. And I'm looking forward to that, and I hope that you will join us for it. And you will have an evaluation pop up when we close out the webinar. I certainly appreciate your completing it. I'm inviting you to register for our monthly, 2 times monthly Money News You Need to Know. And you can like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. And I will now look to see if there are any questions that we can answer. I'd like to thank any of you that aren't going to stay with us for joining us, and I hope that we will see you back here next time. So let's see if I can get to where we left off with these questions. And there's a bunch of them, and I will take them one at a time. I'm trying to be able to read them. Let's see. Okay. Here we go. Okay. Someone said that other people's finances scare him or her. We're very careful, but our parents will be our responsibility also at some point. Yes, taking care of parents is a problem. We did tweet a number of articles from NPR actually this week on taking care of parents. something about planning family events with a lot of people who also have similar financial stressors and trying to be creative. It's not the money itself that's the problem. It is the individual that uses it. Just a thought. Absolutely. Totally. Somebody wrote, save some. Earning enough was not a selection. Okay. Thank you so much for all you're doing. How do you reconcile money attitude differences with a spouse? That is, of course, a very difficult but important, ever so important issue. And I think that the short answer would be to meet regularly with a spouse, to possibly find a way to manage the money, possibly separately, so that each of you has your own responsibilities along with your own spending money. Obviously, we all bring a lifetime of money history with us into every relationship, and it's inevitable. No two of us will ever have the same relationship with money, the same experiences with money, and that will always cause conflict. But if the relationship is healthy, then you need to both find a way to share the responsibility with money and to meet each of your needs. And obviously, well, not necessarily obviously, but often that will, it would seem that having more money would make that easier, but when everything having to do with money creates arguments and possibly screaming and yelling, we know that this is unhealthy. So looking for ways, and one way I work with couples is to ask them to meet once a week to go over their finances in a way and allowing for each of you to have a say, but eliminating the discussion of money at any other time during the week. And if you're watching, you'll see just how many conversations really are about money, even though you're not talking dollars and cents. And if you would like to contact me at Rita, R-E-E-T-A, at financialsocial.com, I can probably offer you some other suggestions. We have someone suggested Financial Peace University, and says that that program is something they use regularly to provide hope on a daily basis. So that looks like the end of our questions, and therefore I will thank all of you again for joining me today, and hope that you'll be back with us next month and that you'll become part of our community. Thanks so much and have a beautiful day. Bye now. Okay, wait. Someone did say, do you have a written format of this webinar information for the clients we serve? No, but we will post the recording probably by the end of the week on our Facebook page, so you can watch it. And I'll see if Eric can put in the 5 specific steps as a handout with the recording. And you will get a link to that. And someone said that he or she is glad I believe in bankruptcy. I do, and I'm glad I mentioned it. And people who think that bankruptcy is an easy out are very much mistaken, because there's nothing easy about bankruptcy aside from the fact that it's costly and emotionally draining and takes a good bit of work. But it was given to us originally for the purpose of having a second chance. And so, yes, I do believe in it. Thank you. I'm glad you believe in it. Thank you. Okay. Well, I'm glad that those of you who are writing all those lovely things felt this was beneficial, because it does take a lot of work to do. So I appreciate your appreciation, and all of you have a wonderful day. Someone said that they had a message there was audio trouble. Is the webinar still going on? Well, I didn't get any messages of audio trouble. I hope that wasn't the case. It does seem like most of you were able to hear it. I hope there wasn't any problem. And hopefully, if you are asking that, hopefully the recording didn't have any audio problems, Maureen or Maurice, and you'll be able to at least listen to that when we get it posted. Okay, thanks everybody. Have a beautiful day. Bye now.